Buckle up, sports fanatics. This is the Sports Chasers Podcast, your HQ for in-depth sports talk. Join host Kevin L. Warren and crew as they dissect the hottest stories, ignite debates, and bring you closer to the action. From locker room whispers to expert takes, we cover it all. It's game time, so strap in and grab a drink. The Sports Chasers Podcast starts right now.
Hey, good evening, everybody. What's happening, everybody? It's another edition of the Sports Chasers Podcast. We're not live and direct, man, but hey, it's the interview sessions, man, where we just kick back and relax and we talk to special guests that come on the show and we talk about some of their intriguing stories, man. Tonight, man, we got a very special guest, man. Before we get to our special guest, let me introduce the crew. It's just only one of us tonight, well, myself included. The DA, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm good, man. Fighting a nasal thing, but we'll get through it. So how you guys doing?
Man, we're all is well, man. All is well. Make sure you get your Flonase, bro. You go.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do something. We're gonna make an attempt.
Man. Before we get into that, make sure you like and click subscribe to the channel. Make sure you also hit the bell for all the notifications, man. And on the podcast side, those just listening to the sound of my voice, man, give us that 5-star review, five-star review, man. Make it happen for us, man, as we continue to bring this awesome content. Like I said, tonight, man, we have an awesome guest. Let me just read a little bit of his bio, man. Outstanding gentleman right here. Let me just read this. Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Chasers Podcast, where we cover sports from every angle. No hot takes, no narratives, just raw and real conversations. Tonight, we truly have an inspiring guest joining us tonight. His name is Victor Vizcaíno, is a certified running and triathlon coach and the founder of Express Your Mission Coaching, or EYM Coaching. Victor's journey is nothing short of remarkable. He's completed over 54 marathons, 3 Ironman triathlons, and countless other races. Oh my goodness. But what truly sets him apart is his holistic approach to coaching. Victor specializes in transforming lives through marathon training by combining physical fitness, personal growth, and spiritual transformation. His focus is on empowering individuals over 40, helping them embrace running not just as a sport, but as a tool for achieving their health and life goals. Drawing from his own journey of resilience and discipline, Victor is passionate about breaking through barriers, and unlocking true potential. Beyond coaching, he's a content creator who shares insights on gratitude and connects with vibrant communities of athletes and transformation seekers. Hey, we're thrilled to have Victor with us tonight to share his expertise, his journey, and how he inspires others to express their mission. Hey, let's give the Sports Chasers welcome to Mr. Victor Vizcaíno, man.
Thank you.
Victor, you actually probably need 2 stand ovations because of that 50. What's this 54?
So I'm up to 56, around 56 marathons now.
It's 56 marathons now. I done cheated you twice, so 56 and all of that stuff. Welcome to the show tonight, Victor. Thank you for coming us and gracing us with your presence, man. What's going on tonight, man? How are you, man?
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm honored.
Got you, man. Me and Victor connected on the course pod match where we get some of our really good guests, and he reached out to us, and I read his bio and his story, and it was very intriguing to me because 2 of the words that he had in his bio, one is my favorite word, and I always say resilience. Resilience is what? Ability to bounce back from any kind of adversity, man. And Victor, just tell us how you just began getting to this running thing. How did it begin? When you was younger, older?
Running until I was older. Running wasn't my favorite thing. I didn't like running in high school. I tried a few races, did running in PE, and I was always the last one. So I hated running. When I tried a little bit of boxing, amateur boxing, a couple of times, and running, they made us do like 2-mile runs, and it was my least favorite part of the workout. I loved the boxing workouts. Running was not my least favorite part of the workouts. Same thing when I would go to the gym, I would do my weightlifting and other machines, and sometimes I would do cardio on the treadmill. And again, the least as possible, because I just wanted to do the cardio, but I didn't like it. And when my sister at I was 38, she's 3 years younger than I am. She had already done one marathon. I was training for her second marathon. And she just said, "Hey, you should do a marathon with me. We're getting ready to do one." And I thought, well, if she can do it, then I can do it. It should be a piece of cake. And I went out for a 6 mile run. And like, I called her. I said, "There's no way I can do a marathon." And he said, "No, dummy, the training starts in 2 weeks. So the marathon is like a 6 month training." I was like, "Okay, then I have a chance. I'll train with her." We used to do the long runs on Sundays, and we would do our own running during the week, but it was usually around six times a week running.
Wow.
And I did my first marathon. It was brutal. It was painful, but I couldn't wait to do it again.
What was the time? What was your time?
3:42,
Not bad.
3:42. And then
Not
somebody
bad.
told me after they found out what time I did, it's like, you could qualify for the Boston Marathon.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
really? He said, and you'll be considered elite if you qualify. I'm like, serious? He said, well, I'm going to try that next year. I'm going to qualify for the Boston Marathon next year. And I signed up for next year and didn't make it. I was a little closer. And then, long story short, it took me 17 more marathons and 6 years
Wow.
to finally qualify. I had to shave off like 35 minutes, but I had no idea. I was new at the sport. I thought 35 minutes, I can shave it off easy, but no, it wasn't easy.
It comes through training, and you probably have to shave off minute by minute, just to make sure you are feeling right.
Yes, and back then I had a coach, like the group coaching that we would do once every Sunday. But there wasn't a lot of techniques, or at least they weren't teaching us those techniques until I started reading more books. And one book that made the big difference is Run Less, Run Faster, and where they encourage us to cross train. And that's when I
Right.
got into the swim bike. I would do swim biking and my running. And I noticed I was making a lot of improvements. But at the same time, I thought, well, if I'm already doing swim, bike, run, I might as well sign up for a triathlon. And that's when I signed up for the Ironman Coeur d'Alene. And coincidentally, that's also when I qualified for Boston, as well. I was in the middle of training for my Ironman.
Question: where are you from?
I am originally from California, raised in Mexico. Then we came back to California, and I've been living in Spokane, Washington for the last 17, 18 years, and I'm currently close by Harrison. I retired from UPS about 3 years ago. I was a driver in California, and I transferred to Spokane as a driver as well. So that's the other part that was really complementary to my running. Was I would run my butt off at UPS. At first it was hard. It's like, well, I can't run in the morning and then go running all day at work. But after a while, it was like, oh, this running thing is helping me at my job, and my job is helping my running. So I stuck to it.
I recall kind of symbiotic. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to ask that because, so, as a you started at 38. I don't know how old you are now, so we'll just say you're 55.
Oh, thank
Right.
you. You're generous. 57.
Yeah, but so that gives you time to say, well, you actually started running when you were maybe at the end of Cali, kind of getting into Spokane, Washington. So when you got up there, you really started your running. So was there anything with the the weather or the temperatures or anything like that? Does that help or hurt people with running? Meaning to say, had you start running more in California, do you think you'd be a different runner today?
I have. I'm not sure. I think that I used to think that it would be harder to run in Spokane only because I had never been in. I have never even seen snow before I transferred to Spokane.
Wow.
Gotcha.
I lived in Mexico and I lived in California.
Yeah,
I hadn't
that's
seen
understood.
actual snow come down live, and I thought, well, how do people run in such cold weather and
Yeah.
conditions? But once I started doing it, it's like, wow, I found it easier to run in the cold than in the heat because the heat tend to
Zap you, I
suck
guess.
the energy out of me,
Okay.
and you get if you when it gets hot, if you don't run early in the morning before it gets hot, it's you have to be more careful. It does take a lot of your energy, and you can get dehydrated. There's so many things where in the cold, as long as you have at least a nice layer, and then with all the new materials that they come up with, it's easy to bundle
Stay
up
warm.
and go out for a run. And there have been marathons that I've done in Spokane where I didn't break a sweat just
Wow.
because it was so cold.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, I've often wondered how runners kind of dealt with that, especially long distance running in the cold. Like I would assume that of course, your body temperature doesn't go up so much, but how to make sure that the cold doesn't impact you as you're running. Fingers, extremities, more than anything else, fingers and toes, as you're running. But I
Yeah.
guess it's nothing.
No, no. I've never ran to where it was an issue, and those kinds of temperatures. They tell you, I think it's -10 or anything probably in the teens it gets a little bit better. But I've run about 20 degrees, and
Wow.
it was fine. Your body kind of,
Wow.
as long as you wear gloves, you do need to wear gloves
Yeah.
and things like that. And
Gotcha. Cool. Wow.
as long
That's
as you're moving, and that was my experience too, because if you have to walk and you did, I did this one time. When I first got here, I put a bunch of layers,
right.
and that was a mistake
Uh-oh.
because I started to sweat,
Right.
and when I stopped and had to mess up with I think it was my music. It was messing with my music. I started getting really cold because everything was wet. I had a hoodie on. I tried to put my hoodie on, and my hoodie was like a helmet. It's been sweating and it just
Nice.
froze. And it's like a big helmet, and my water froze.
You're learning, right? It's a learning. So what kind of music? That's very important to me. See, so I go to the gym every day. I do about a mile. I gotta do maybe 30 minutes before, 30 minutes after, and I'm walking because I got the bad knees. But what kind of music do you listen to?
When I'm running 80s, I think that was my magic time when I was a teenager, and that's the one that I love to listen to. I've been listening to Tina Turner and all these other music from the 80s. That's my favorite running music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it doesn't change whether it's now. Do you get to wear your headphones in the marathon?
On some of them, there are a few that will not let you, but especially the Ironmans because they want you to be hearing.
Cognizant. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but it's 80s all the way, unless they tell you not to wear any headphones.
Right.
That's cool. Yeah, I like the 80s too. So don't worry.
Yeah,
And
same.
sometimes just podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't listen to anything but music. So
Okay.
yeah, nothing but. I mean, the whole 2-hour workout is nothing but. And I'm just getting back in. So my 2 hours isn't like my old 2 hours, but we'll get there. We'll get there. No complaints. So
Now, do you get like the runner's high when you exercise, when you do your workouts?
yeah, it depends on the exercise though. It's not runner's
Yeah.
high though. It's what it is. It's an oxygenated something you get, and I usually get
Yeah.
it during legs because it's such a
Okay.
large muscle group. And when I'm recruiting someone's oxygen, to push, to do what I got to do. I'm on the press, the legs, the squats, the hack squats. It usually hit me there when I start feeling a little euphoric. And I don't feel pain in my knees, and that's when I know I'm good.
Oh,
right?
nice.
That's when I know I'm breathing the right way, right? And because it's a lot with lifting, and I'm sure you know. So when you're lifting, if you're doing it the right way, you're breathing the right way, you'll get there. You'll get to that euphoric, and when I get there, I know I'm breathing right, my oxygen's right, I'm in and I'm out. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. So there's so many things you got to do right to do it right. But
where does your mind go? Because I've been playing with this thing from the beginning, where I feel much more creative. Like I start getting that feeling, that high, and I get these ideas, and I'm
I will tell you,
super excited.
it's funny you say that, right? So in the late 80s, early 90s, I used to be a rapper in New York, right? So when I'm doing it, I come up with freestyles. And sometimes my kids used to laugh at me when my kids are old now, but they will always say, Daddy, your lips will be moving, while you're lifting. Or if I'm doing a heavy bag, I'm rapping. All of that, it doesn't change for me. It's always hip hop, old school hip hop, and just rhyme about my feet and my house and my this and my that, and everything. Just coming up with things that are, I guess, what I would think, no one else has to believe it. Innovative, but it gets me through the workout, and my goal is anything to get me through the workout, because my workout is already scripted, so I have to do what I have to do. So that being said, it gets me through that. So I'm that's
Victor,
kind of what I do.
Victor, let me jump in here for a second. What was your best time out of any of these marathons? Which one was?
3:01. I was trying to break a 3-hour marathon, and that was the Missoula Marathon.
That's good.
3:01, and that was 2014. 2014, and I had just done a Ironman probably a year prior to it, so I felt like I was really in top shape. And going into the workouts, because we follow certain formulas. If you can do the marathon at a certain time, then you should be able to calculate how long it's going to take you to do the full time,
Right.
the full marathon. And I knew I had it. I wasn't there. I was very close with my half marathon. So when I went into it, it's like, oh, I'm just going to stick with a pacer and see how far I can stick with a pacer. For a pacer is the guy that gets the 3-hour flag, and if you stick with him, he'll get you through in time. And about mile 24, the pacer started to go faster than I was going, and I started slowing down. But then my tendency was like, I'm not gonna make it. I wanted to give up, but then I thought, you know what? It would be nice to be at least close.
Yeah.
So I kept going just as fast as I could. Just I'd rather do a 3:01 than a 3:05. And then after that race, we went home because it got hot. This was in Missoula, Montana in July. And my wife was getting hot and said, yeah, let's just go. Because I was going to wait to see if I had placed. And in that race, they had prize money for anyone who would break the record from the previous record, the previous years. Anybody who would break a record. So I looked at the record and was like, well, I'm far away from that. It was like 2:45. I did a 3:01, but because no one else came close, in the mail I get a letter. It's like, oh, first it was a letter that said I won the age group, people in my age group. Then they get another plaque that said I won the Masters. The Masters is anybody who was over 40.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I was first place for the Masters. And then on the third day, I get another letter that says, "Oh, by the way, since nobody else came close to breaking the record, the money goes to you." And it was
There you go.
$100 check that said elite money.
Hey, listen, we'll take it, man. Congratulations.
Yep. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah,
that's that is freaking incredible, man.
so it turned out that something that was a little upsetting because I wasn't able to break those 3 hours at the end. It was like, wow, it was still very nice to have those other prices.
Goes to show you, as long as you go hard, and don't quit. There are things at the end, right? There are
That's
things.
right.
So I'm sure the folks that you coach, you kind of pass that lesson along to, like, hey, because you're not exactly where you want to be, doesn't mean to quit the race, right?
That's
So
right. That's
that's
right.
not what this is about. So that is a heck of a lesson, man. Thank you for sharing that, for real.
That's pretty dope. Let me ask you something. Which marathon would you want to run? Any place that you haven't run yet? I think we talked about. Have you ran New York City's marathon yet?
No, I definitely want to do New York.
You run from rats.
I've had a few clients do it, and then they all like, you got to come do
No.
it.
You got to run from the rats now. So it's a little. You probably up your time to maybe under 3 with those rats chasing you. So just it's a lot. It's a little crazy out in New York now. So
Yeah,
it's a little crazy.
it's a
Get out
lot.
there.
It's pretty crowded. I've seen it on TV, and now when I have my clients, I usually see them on the cameras because they have cameras in different places, and
Yeah.
you can track them, and every once in a while you'll see them on the camera.
So when you start a marathon, I guess based upon where you are as a marathon runner, and I'm talking about something like the Boston Marathon, New York City Marathon, a big marathon. You guys, because I always wondered, like, God, I don't know if you get the analogy right. So I always thought that marathon running was a time thing, right? Like you're there to beat your own time, and if that beats other people, then great, right? Unless you're in that first group of dudes that are running 2-hour marathons. And they are, they're running for time too, but they also have guy next to them that they got to beat, to the finish line, right? So if you're running a 2-hour, then you pretty much will always run a marathon in 2 hours. If that's kind of your time, that's what you do.
Yeah,
You're always going to run in 2 hours. So when they have this mass,
you're talking about the professionals.
oh, okay. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, those are the pros, and they haven't broken the 2 hour, but they've been or been this close to breaking it.
So when they start the
maybe
marathon, do they separate the professionals from everybody else, or does everyone start at the same time?
No, they
Two
always
different
separate the
marathons.
pros. So they run the pro men, and then usually the pro women,
And then
and
everybody else
and
goes.
sometimes a lot of times they have the wheelchair. So it's the wheelchairs, then the pro men, then the pro women, and then everybody else. And everybody
Okay.
else is also sometimes divided in corrals. So
Okay.
depending on your time, like the Boston Marathon, depending on what time you put on there or the time that you qualified for, they
Right.
put you in that corral
Gotcha. Okay.
because everybody's different. Boston goes by age. So the younger you are, the faster you have to be to qualify. As you get older, the qualifying times goes down, and they
Okay.
put you in these corrals. So they go every so many minutes. Boom, they let another corral go, and then another corral because it's so many people.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you, Victor. Because I'm talking about my whole life. I didn't know how the heck this happened, right? Like this
Yeah,
whole mass of people of humanity, and they say go, and everybody starts running,
At the Verrazano Bridge.
and then you know 3 skinny little African guys always come out of that fight with all those people, and they're at the
yeah.
front. I'm like, golly, how did this happen? But okay. That makes sense. I mean, it's some as a project manager, it makes sense. It organizes, what's happening, and you're able to keep an eye on separate groups. I guess, right?
Yeah,
Individuals.
correct.
I think for
Yeah.
all running sports, not that I'm anything like Victor. Like I said, I have some medals on my mantle over here. for 5Ks and stuff like that. And like you said, Victor, I'll never forget last one I ran was in Charlotte. It was they called the Turkey Trot 5K, of course, which is nothing. And they came to me. They say, "Hey, you're a professional runner." I said, "I wish." I said, "I need to be with the amateurs. So please put me down with
Yeah,
the amateurs." And I think I did well that day. I think I did around 24 minutes, 25 minutes, man. So got tired
yeah,
at the end,
that's
but
pretty good.
yeah,
That's really good. And I think they usually call them masters, but that was anybody over 40. But yes, the group of professionals is very small compared to everybody else that shows up on the race. But it is everybody has different goals,
right.
and if you're a short distance runner, that's uh, just because I'm a fast marathon runner doesn't mean I could do fast on a 5K.
Hmm.
Because once you get into the endurance sport, it's about efficiency. It's about conserving energy. Because they used to tell me, "Wow, you're getting faster, Victor, because your marathon times are getting faster." And I used to tell them, I'm getting more efficient. I'm getting more efficient because, especially when you get to like the Ironman,
Right.
they tell you. They used to tell me, and I used to read a lot. It's about how much energy can you conserve, how much
Right.
energy can you conserve, and it's a science between it. It's being efficient when you're swimming, being very efficient when you're riding your bike. You overspend energy at the beginning, and you're gonna blow up. You're gonna
Not
run
gonna
out of
have it at the
energy.
end. Gotcha. Makes
So
sense.
so let me ask you about your first triathlon. How was that? Where was that? And tell me how you did. How well did you do with that?
My
The fact
very
that
first
you
Ironman.
was great. So go ahead.
Wait, what did you just say?
No, I said the fact that you finished is just great overall. So
Well,
yeah.
here's the thing. I did my very first triathlon. I did not finish it. I I hadn't because I hadn't joined the triathlon club yet. I joined my triathlon club afterward, but I went out too fast. I went out too fast on the not on the swim, but too fast on the bike, and then started the run way too fast. And by the time I got to mile 20 of the marathon, I was depleted of everything. I passed out, and then I was throwing up, and I was on the floor cramping.
Gee
And then the
whiz.
medics came and said, "We could get you up, and you could keep going, but you're just going to keep falling down because you have nothing left." And I thought, oh, and at the time, my dad was in the hospital, and I thought, if I don't want two of us to be in the hospital, and so
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Victor.
so then I thought I'm going to do it next year, and I trained, and then I joined a triathlon club. I had coaches, I had everything, and I was able to finish and finish strong.
Fantastic. So, triathlons always start the same, right? Bike, swim, then run. Is that
Yes,
it? Okay.
yeah,
Just want to make sure.
yeah, and especially for the swim because you don't want to you don't want to be in the water when you're
When you're
tired
tired.
and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
cramping and
yeah.
So walk us through. So when an actual triathlon, like the stages of it, and like how you said, you bike first. How long is the bike ride?
no, the swim. So the
What?
swim
Excuse
is
me.
and a full Ironman.
It's the first.
The swim is 2.4 miles.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you come out of the water, you take your wetsuit out, you jump on the bike, and the bike is 112 miles.
Mm.
And then you go in transition again, put on whatever your running shoes, and take off your helmet and start running. And you run a full marathon, 26.2 miles.
Wow.
And they give you 17 hours to complete it. And but there's also some you have to I forgot what the times are, but they give you certain time. You have if you're not done with the swim by a certain time, I think it's like 2 hours.
They cancel you out.
Yeah, you're pulled off, or on the bike or on the run. If they know, you know what, you're not gonna make it, we're pulling you out.
I mean, to have that physical endurance just to just do one of those things at one time and then to compound that 3 times is quite incredible and a testament to people that are in awesome shape and how they pretty much discipline their body to make sure that they complete these tasks. Because you said, like you said on the first one, you um you tried it, but you got sick and you threw up
Yeah.
like that, and you just knew where to adjust going back to the next one. So you have 17 hours to complete it. What was your best time in one of these things?
12:15.
Wow,
12:15.
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Not super fast, but not bad. I mean,
You
my
finished.
thing was the marathon. My strong was always been I didn't know how to swim when I first started. I didn't know how
Wow.
to ride a bike. I had when I signed up for the Ironman, I had to buy a wetsuit. I had to buy a bike and learn to swim and bike. Mm, But yeah, that
And
there's
look,
definitely
for you to get the 12 is incredible because the world records are around 7, right? For the Ironman. So you're just 5 off. And that's 5 off being older, and just learning how to ride a bike. You got a 10 speed with training wheels on it out there, kind of making people move over, but that's okay. That's okay. You got
yeah.
10 speed with the training wheels on it. But listen, if the world record are in the 7s and 8s hours, that's quite an accomplishment, because
Yeah.
you always measure yourself against the best and people that have been doing things for probably a lot longer than you've been doing them. So
Yes.
that's pat on the back for that one, brother. Pat
Yeah.
on the back for that one.
Thank
I'm
you. Thank
scared of
you.
you. I don't. Yeah, I'm. Don't, not
Victor,
me, brother. Not me.
let me get to this. Any runner or any triathlon person, who do you look up to? Who do you like maybe patting yourself after today?
Oh, um, well, I listen a lot to Rich Roll. I don't think he does Ironmans anymore, but he has his own podcast and does a lot of personal growth stuff. So
Okay.
he's one that I listen to a lot. And the rest are just mostly the people in my own group that I admire, and we kind of do a lot of camaraderie and learn from each other. Because I'm more into the coaching, I'm not as much into the sport of triathlons, um,
And I
or
wanted to go ahead. I'm sorry, Victor. Go ahead.
at least not as a spectator.
Yeah, I wanted to ask. So when you start coaching a youngster that wants to get into uh, uh, what I call distance sports, whether it's marathons, triathlons, excuse me. Um, what is the first thing you tell them? Like, you got a piece of clay in front of you. You think they have the wherewithal, but do you ask them about their physical or kind of get into them mentally to see what type of person they are, to know if you even think they would
Definitely,
finish?
yeah, definitely an assessment on their why. Why are you doing this?
Right,
And then what's your expectation? And then what's your experience? What's your
right,
strong? Because usually they come from one discipline or another. It's usually either somebody does a lot of cycling and one now wants to try all 3 sports, or they're a runner like I was and then want to do the other sports.
okay.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
how
that's
long? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just seeing the training plan for the marathon there.
Yeah, and because I want. Okay, so from there, before you as a coach would allow one of your guys or gals to get in their first triathlete, how long do you usually train them prior to that? Like, it's like, don't get in the next one you see. Let's go maybe look at it to make sure you're ready, or are there mock triathletes, or what exactly is the from the
The
time you
procedure.
met them and you given your assessment and you're ready to work with them from that date into the time that they go to their first
Yeah, it's usually uh, for a full Ironman if they don't have any if they haven't done any races
Yeah,
above half Ironman, then I'd like to have
they do have
I like
halves.
yeah
Okay.
to do a few halves to have at least a year to train for a
Mhm.
full Ironman when they don't have experience. But if they're already coming with um, yeah, but you asked me if it's their first if this is the first Ironman, I'd like to see a year, and but they can sign up for there's called a sprint. There's even something shorter than a sprint, but usually it's a sprint, Olympic, half Ironman, and a
Uh-huh.
full Ironman.
Okay.
And the Ironman is a brand, so the true term is usually long course or short course. It's a half
Okay.
Ironman, long Ironman, because the Ironman is their own brand of
Gotcha.
triathlons.
Didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that either because then it was like, oh, you're doing. I kept asking people, you're doing a half Ironman? No, it's a short term, but it is the same distance. Oh, and then
Wow.
I didn't know why. Why isn't it a half Ironman? Oh, it's just not the brand, but it's the same distance race.
Understood.
And
Understood. I'm learning a lot today because I didn't know that either. So
No,
that's
this is
cool. So you let them do some halves, I guess. And
yeah,
is there a specific? So what's the average time on a half, and what would your expectation be prior to you saying, "Hey, man, okay," or "Hey, girl, you're ready to do the next step"?
I think anything under for the clientele that I usually because I'm not having professionals. Anything under 7 hours is really good. But so that's where the assessment comes in. For their first half Ironman, we're not worried about time. They just want to complete it,
Right.
and that's where the assessment is like, okay, and then we just start to figure out what's reasonable for them, so that they can pace themselves and don't end up getting sick.
Right.
A pace that's still going to get them to the finish line, but they're going to finish nice and strong. And that's the thing. I know you were telling me about, for example, marathons, and there's a lot of people that do marathons just to finish them and get their medal, or their doctor said they have to stay active and they want to do their walk a marathon. And I saw so many people finishing marathons walking and finish like so happy and everything that um,
That'd be me.
and they're impressive times because what a lot of people do who don't have experience and they go and try to run a marathon without the coaching, without the experience, is they go out a little too fast and then they ended up with a very long time and in a lot of pain towards the end of their marathon. But if they had just walked it, they put up and finished it in less time and been more whole, more happier
Well, that's
and
me. I'd have
stronger.
walked it, and that'd have been fine for me. So no comment. I would have took it.
you want the medals, right? Like I
Nah, I
said,
just, for me, at 55, I just want to finish, man, with my feet and
Yeah,
knees and back. But I
there's a
know I've
long.
walked some of that distance before. I just never did it as a race and never did it tracking myself. So,
I
um,
met a lot of people on the 50 states, people who want to do all 50 states marathons, and that's a unique group of people because a lot of walkers and I'll repeat them. They've done it the 50 states and then they start all over and they do them again the next year and they just keep doing them. And it's like when I think of 56 marathons is a lot. They're in the thousands.
yeah, that's crazy. But no, I heard about a lady on NPR just the other day talking about doing that, but I can't remember her name. So just the other day, I heard somebody. I was passing by and I heard somebody talking about it. That's why that lady's crazy. But little did
Yeah,
I
we
know.
all have to be a little crazy
Yes, sir.
to do
Sure
some
is,
of
sir.
these things.
Yeah, 100% correct, man. 100% correct. So,
let
it
me ask
sounds.
you this, Victor. Go ahead, D. Go
No,
ahead,
no, go ahead.
finish.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, Victor. Any success stories you can share from one of your clients that you have coached? Any
Oh,
that
yeah. Well,
was transformative?
yes, I think the most recent was someone who came to me a couple of years ago wanting to do the New York Marathon and just wanted to finish. And so she just wanted to finish, and she made clear that it was just going to be this year because I told her, I told her my story, and I told her I got addicted and I couldn't stop. And she was so excited about doing the New York Marathon that I told her, well, you're going to get addicted because you seem so excited. I don't see you just doing it once, but let's get you to the marathon. She did the New York Marathon. She just wanted to do under 5 hours. And okay. And then this last spring, I get a text message and say, hey, I registered for the New York. I'm doing it again. And I just started laughing because I said, I told you, you're going to get addicted. She did it again. And this time she was, technically she qualified for the Boston Marathon. That's how much she shaved. She was
Wow.
under 4. Yeah, I said under 4 hours. So she shaved a whole hour.
Wow.
And more. It was like, it was a lot of, I think 43 minutes she shaved of her time.
Ooh,
And
that's a few
that was,
that's a few corrals that she passed up of runners to shave 43 minutes. So yeah, that's
yes. Yeah.
impressive.
So after doing one marathon, but she was now, and the other thing is she was in her 50s. She had just turned 50. She just turned 50. So to me, that was pretty incredible because you have to be very careful. And I was watching her closely to see what her times were because there is running is very delicate when it comes to injuries. If you push your pace too hard, or if you're training really hard, it's easy to get hurt. You have to be very careful on how much you're putting on your times. But her times were so good, and she had been doing a lot of cross training. She does Orange Theory as exercise, and she was doing all her runs, and all her runs were pretty good. And I'm checking to see, make sure that she's not experiencing any kind of pain or anything like that, and everything was good. So then that's when we decided, okay, we think that based on your half marathon, based on everything, that you could do within those 40 minutes of the
Oh, wow.
pace that we decided.
So do you guys work on like the ergonomics when you got folks that lean over too much or too
Yeah,
high up? Yeah, the posture when running to ensure that they're linear up and down with each step and how they're landing on the foot and rolling the foot as they run and all
yeah.
those things.
Yes, if we can get a video of their running so that we can analyze their running form. The other thing that we can do is if they're running where there's sun and you can see your shadow, that's another good way of analyzing your own running to see if you are running erect like you're supposed to, or that you're not hunching down your head,
Yeah.
because you're supposed to have a forward lean but not hunch. That's the key. That's the key thing. You don't want to hunch.
Yeah. Keep your airways open.
Yeah.
I did hear that. I did hear
And
that.
the
But
shadow also, if you watch your shadow, the vertical isolation. So that's a good way when you're running and you see your shadow going up and down. That you don't want the energy going up and down. You want your energy to go forward.
Going back. Yep.
If you're seeing that, and when you're in a race and you see other people's shadows, and you see your shadow with their shadow, and it's like, oh, their shadow is going too much, or if yours going too much, then it means you are going too much up and down.
And
wow.
that's not the most effective way to run.
Right.
Gotcha. Understood.
And then there's cadence, there's stride, and all those. We want to moderate them gently so that they're not too much of a drastic change right away, because you are running long distances, and if you make a drastic change too fast, also can lead to injuries. So we make those changes in their stride is gently, little by little, not too
Understood.
drastic.
Understood.
Gotcha. Let me ask you this other question. Victor, it says, how do you integrate mindset practices like gratitude, visualization, and meditation into your training plans with your clients?
That comes with the weekly check-ins. What are you practicing when we do the gratitude practices? We just come up with different ideas that works for them. Some clients may be into prayer, some have different ways of gratitude. And what I like to incorporate is some kind of variety so that it's just not something that is becomes a ritual where it doesn't have a lot of meaning. Kind of like when you sit on the table and you say, "I thank my family, I thank everybody," but you're not really feeling it, and that's the key thing. Is like make sure you're feeling it, and then you're taking it out, and do it differently. Sometimes I would, when I started running and practicing the gratitude, I would, one week I would dedicate a mile to a family member, and then the next mile to another one, and then I would just switch it up, and there's just so much to be gratitude, and it's hard to feel any other emotions where you when you're in gratitude. And then the other spiritual practices, we just kind of go one at a time with like forgiveness practice, other things that I've learned from um, Dr. Michael Beckwith and other followers, and whatever spirituality they're into. That comes with the sessions, and we get to discover what kind of a spirituality they're into, and depending on that, we'll incorporate that into their running.
Believing
But
in something. Wow. Yep.
yeah, that's right. And that's why I was asking you a lot about the endorphins, because I just feel that every one of those practices amplifies when you are
Yes.
in your zone, when you are feeling that euphoric feeling. And I in myself too, once, especially doing those practices of gratitude and everything, then those endorphin kicks in, it amplifies, and then I'll use it to be creative. And that's how I got into the podcast. That's how I got into coaching. And it was that mind is like, oh, this is my next thing I want to do. And right now that I'm here, I've been in the cabin of my sisters. We're by the lake. I go out on a run, and I'm writing a book. And when I go on a run, I get all these ideas, and I I practically am doing my. I feel like I'm doing my writing when I'm running.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of oxygen, man. You can you'll feel it in your brain. So
Yeah.
you're pulling in a lot of oxygen, more than most people usually would. It's kind of like a car. That
Okay.
breathes in. A runner probably takes in as much oxygen, as like a Corvette to a regular car, you to a regular person, because you got to in out, into your nose, out to your mouth. And you're running, and you're doing it so many times a week. You're right. That's what oxygen does. It opens up brain cells. You can feel it. Like,
Yeah.
you always feel that kind of tingle in your head. And that's what it's from. Your
Yeah.
endorphins, and it's a good thing, man.
Okay. Endorphins, dopamine, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you don't have to do drugs, just gotta run. But they've been
Yeah,
saying
that's
that
what
for years, though. They've been saying that.
yeah.
They've been saying
I've
that
got
for
my
a long time, though.
I got my own drug dealer up here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the military, they said that forever. You don't have to get high, just come run with us. And after a while,
Wow.
you feel it. But they always said that. So I've heard that since I was a kid.
Only
Yeah.
DA can so eloquently illustrate
Hey,
that.
man, join the Marines. They'll tell you. You'll hear it.
Nah, that's that. Nah, this has been awesome, man. Like I said, I know a little bit about running and marathons and stuff like that, but Victor, you have offers us so much insight into the
Yeah.
world of running
Because I
and
knew nothing.
triathlon stuff, and just trying to just live a healthy life, right?
That's right.
To those that just want to be on the couch, my father has a saying: you need to just keep moving. Go ahead, Da.
Last piece. Diet. Do you have your own nutritionist within your group of trainers, or is it just you know, in your knowledge, okay, listen, man, you can't have this. No hamburgers. Don't do that. You know, like
Yeah,
what?
we do have a dietitian,
Okay, that's
but I will do enough nutrition just for the basic, like you said. You know, that the obvious stuff that we all know is like, hey, you can't be eating too much pizza, or you can't be eating all this stuff, or alcohol, and be able to perform at
right,
your
right,
highest percent. But everybody comes kind of with that common knowledge, and then we just kind of discuss more of what kind of discipline does it take to substitute one, like are you drinking
Enough water.
water at all times of the day? One of the things I do is, if I notice I'm drinking too much coffee, it's because I'm not drinking a lot of water, and
right.
by default, if I drink much water, then I drink less
That's coffee.
less and, and then yeah, the other stuff is just like, hey, if you're drinking alcohol, maybe what's underlying issues that we're having, that maybe we can address them, so that you can get better, because you're here. It goes back to why are you here, why we want to run, and it's usually you want to improve your health. So let's get on the right track.
Any
Makes sense.
any clients you had to be like where they didn't they kind of disqualified themselves, where they, you know, they wanted to do it, but they, I guess, then they lacked the discipline to it. You know, what do you say? What would you do with those persons if you had somebody like that, or if you had somebody like that?
Yeah, I've only had a couple of them, and it's just been the wrong time. There's a lot of stuff going on in their life that they need to take care of before they take on maybe running. And I always tell them, you know what, it's okay if you take a break, because I noticed that it's causing maybe more problems than it's helping. So let's revisit this in a couple months when you straighten all the other stuff. Uh, but for the most part, we try to do it because that's what they're doing. This is just one part, and it's an important part of their life that they want to take care of. But if we can incorporate all that other stuff, because remember, each person is different. Each person has a different goal, and
Yes.
you don't. If you don't have a lot of time, then we can work with whatever time you have.
Yeah,
But let's make it count. Whatever. If you only have a certain time to train, then can we work with that, and also take care of whatever other issues you are having at home or in other parts of your life.
makes sense. Makes sense.
That's
But yeah, everything's connected. Everything affects one thing affects the other, and that's why I like doing the holistic part, because that's when you can, people can dedicate a lot of time to training, but then the other parts of their life kind of fall apart.
Yeah. So you get the whole thing wrapped up in one basket, and you know,
Yes.
try to make running a part of your life success.
Yes. Yeah. Make it a tool for me, and for most of the coaching that I do. This is just another tool to make your life whole, and live a happy, healthy life.
Yeah, sounds like a plan, man. I'm gonna check out some of your stuff. I'm not running, just so you know. I will run. I will run some, but
Yeah. But
yeah.
what you're doing is good. I mean, as long as, like you said, as long as you're moving, as long as you're doing something,
Oh
it's
yeah, yeah. Like I said, you when you don't feel the pain, you know you're doing it right. So
right. And that's because now that you bring that up, it's one of the things that I go with my clients is let them know at the beginning that if they experience an injury of some sort, it could be related not to something else at their job. They could have gotten hurt doing something else or doing the sport. But in that case, what are we going to do? Like, are we going to find something that they can do to keep up their fitness while they're nursing that injury? Uh, because a lot of people do have that mentality. I've run into a lot of people who's like, "Oh, I sprained an ankle. I'm not doing anything."
oh, yeah, no,
And it's
that's
like, well, there's a lot thing you can do still.
yeah.
And yeah,
like there's like, hey, you got to do something if you want to continue this, man. You got to do.
yeah,
Well, yeah. I don't think you could ever get back into running, falling off the cliff to where you know you're
Right.
way out of shape, because then running becomes dangerous, right? So if you
right.
start cigarettes and doing other stuff, then you just can't start running because running will kill you. Like you'll have a heart attack. Like you don't want to do that. You know, you running like I guess like Victor's talking about. It's a calling. It's like a profession, man. It's like what you do because it's not. I can't call it a sport because you'll do it all the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like guys that run, they just run, man. They don't do it for rhyme or reason.
It's like Forrest Gump.
Oh yeah, it's like I said, it's addictive. So it becomes very addictive.
But a lot of the logic, we get a weird logic sometimes. For example, I hear a lot of this. It's like I have to earn my junk food. I have to earn my sugar or whatever. But it's like, but when you think about it, it's like when you brought up smoking, it's like I don't think anybody thinks about it. It's like I gotta earn my smokes. Because running and smoking is just not. You're not gonna earn.
They don't go together.
They don't go together. In other words, you're gonna damage you probably more than if you just smoked. You'd probably be healthier than if you ran and smoked.
Yeah, I worked with a lady, and we said she was doing negative laps. She go out and smoke a cigarette. That's a negative lap. You know, that's just giving the lap back right there. You know, but again, I know people that used to smoke that run. I know a guy that was a drill sergeant that smoked and ran. So, you know, anything is possible, man.
I guess so. I just feel like it feels like you're not gonna, like you say, you shorten your life every time you smoke a cigarette. Well, I don't think like you shorten it and then you prolong it when you run, and then you shorten it when you smoke, and then you. It's not gonna be
you're on the seesaw.
Give and take.
Yeah, you're on the seesaw. You know. You just don't want to end up on the wrong end, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. And things like that affect everybody different too. There's I grew up in a small town in Mexico that people smoked their whole lives, and it's like they were fine, but we can't all go by that.
Yes, sir.
By that logic or by that observation because somebody did really well. It's same thing with alcohol. There are people who can smoke and handle their alcohol very, very well, and then there's some that just have just a little bit and they're off.
Yeah, that's me.
So. They're done. Let me get into this other one, Victor, before we get out of here. What advice would you give somebody listening today who dreams of running their first marathon, but they feel a little bit, unsure, a little bit overwhelmed? What advice would you give to them? They came into your office or you had an initial consultation with them.
Well, yeah, if that they're way ahead if they already reached out. So because that was going to be my first is reach out, get somebody to help you do the training plan, and then just one step at a time. Sign up. Whether depending on where they're at in their fitness level, it could be 6 months, like 6 months out. Sign up for that marathon, and then work with a coach, work with a running group. And from there is just getting all the other things like the good running shoes, good fit, the nutrition part. But definitely start with a consultation, and we'll say get one baby step at a time.
Makes sense to me.
I definitely like that, Victor. I want to plug your information here, your website. It's EYM. Coaching.com, as y'all can see it up here on the screen. It got here, meet Coach Victor. It says, then he had looks like a person who, giving a testimony here. And then you got Victor.
Yeah.
Go on, Victor, and explain your website here and what can people expect when they get in contact with you as far as the training and the books and things of that nature.
Absolutely. The best thing that they can do is get that training plan. It's a very easy to follow training plan. And then through that website, they can also schedule a free consultation with me. We usually sit for 30 minutes and make an assessment on where they are in their fitness level, what kind of race they want to do, and maybe even which race they want to do. We can help with that. And from there, if they still need assistance, they can hire me as their coach, and we can do sessions up to the race and beyond.
And you do whether local or it doesn't matter, right?
No, it doesn't matter. I'm an online coach, and we can work from anywhere. Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is Victor Vizcaíno. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you. It's been awesome. You guys are great. You guys are fun to talk to. I hope we can do this again.
Yeah, man.
100%. Anytime some marathon stuff come up, and I got your information, your number, and all that stuff, Victor. We're absolutely going to do this again, man, because I think people need to be educated on marathons and triathlons. But not only that, but as DA alluded to earlier, hey man, just move around, get to moving, get to be a healthier, better you. Better late than never, some than others, but get to moving around. DA, give you the last thoughts, and then we'll give our guests his last thoughts before we get out of here. DA, what you got for us, sir?
Good meeting you, man. I'll be watching. I'm gonna keep doing what I do, which is not a marathon, but I'll watch them, and I've always had interest in them. So I've always had great interest in watching people be great at what they do. So I never have a problem with that. So thank you very much for coming, man, and I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And my last words is just, like you said, keep moving, sign up for a marathon or a half marathon if you can, and reach out, and we're there to help.
There you go.
That's right. Keep moving, man. Listen, we're going to get on out of here. On behalf of myself, I'm Kevin Warren, your host and moderator for the DA, and our special guest tonight, Mr. Victor Vizcaíno, man. Yo, this is the Sports Chasers podcast. Y'all be good, be great. Hey, we'll catch you on the flip side. Hey, y'all remember, keep on moving. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Sports Chasers podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms, and connect with us on all social media channels for exclusive content and updates. We'd also love for you to join the conversation, share your thoughts, and become part of the Sports Chasers community. And remember to tune in next time for some more real sports talk. Until then, stay frosty.